Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1932 musical comedy Love Me Tonight.
Monsieur, your smile is so disarming, so frank, so gay, so charming.
Hey, well, thank you. I appreciated that. I needed that vote of confidence. Very much welcomed. If this is your first time joining me, I am reviewing every movie in this book, the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Love Me Tonight stars Maurice Chevalier. He is an actor that I am not completely unfamiliar with. I have seen him before in the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, and I know that he is at least mentioned in one episode of I Love Lucy, because I've seen every episode at least 100 times, and I remember his name being thrown around somewhere, though the I Love Lucy show and the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour are like 20 years after this movie, so he's much younger in this movie than he was in those shows. Now, Love Me Tonight is considered to be one of the most important early Hollywood musicals because it uses music as part of the narrative, and it uses songs that flow seamlessly from scene to scene and advances the plot. Whereas in a lot of musicals before this, they just kind of threw songs into the movie, and you're like, does this even have anything to do with the movie? Like the jazz singer, these songs, I'm like, what are they doing here? And this one is meant to actually advance the plot, and the song Isn't It Romantic is often heralded as one of the greatest musical sequences in movie history. It is a sequence where a song is passed from person to person, from scene to scene, and it is one of the first times that was ever done in a movie. Now, I will say I was not a huge fan of Maurice Chevalier in this film. It's the first film that I've seen of his. I thought his acting was kind of flat. I didn't think he had that much range. I thought the writing, honestly, for this movie was a little lazy, though it is based on a play called The Tailor and the Castle, so I'm not sure how much of that was their fault. And I did think that Maurice Chevalier was a little hard to understand at times, though I will say that during the production of this movie, his mom did pass away, and they thought that his acting was affected by the passing of his mom. So I'm going to have to see some more movies with him and see if this is the same kind of range and the same kind of acting chops that he has in every movie, or if he was really truly just affected by the loss of his mom. So in this movie, Maurice plays a character named Maurice, and he is a tailor, and in the beginning of the movie, he is a bit down on his luck. It seems like, though he says that business is picking up, it does seem like he is a bit down and a little, I would say, doesn't have that much money and that many funds, until a gentleman named Gilbert starts purchasing clothes from him. And Gilbert's supposed to be like a nobleman, and he just purchases on credit, so he doesn't actually give any money to Maurice. But Maurice is fine with this because he's like of nobility, so he feels like Gilbert's going to be his cash cow, and he's going to do all this business with him, and he's going to make all this money. And it's fine if he does it on credit because he has the money and he's good for it, and eventually he's going to get paid. So besides being a tailor, Maurice has all these other people who are helping Gilbert as well. He has like someone making shoes for him, and he has like someone making other garments for him. So there's a lot of moving parts here that are helping Gilbert get the clothes that he needs to go out and do what nobility does. One day, though, a gentleman walks in and he says, look, I know this Gilbert guy, and he doesn't pay anyone. He doesn't pay people. He just uses you, and he skips out. So Maurice, in fear that he's not going to get paid, but also these other people who he's kind of hired on to help Gilbert as well, are also not going to get paid, he decides to go to this castle where Gilbert lives. Now, we learn that Gilbert is actually getting his money from like his father, so he has to try to convince his father to give him more money, even though all he does is really leech and feed off his father, and his father is kind of over it. So when Maurice ends up at the castle, Gilbert tells everyone that he's a baron so that he doesn't, no one knows that he's a tailor. Apparently, for some reason, they, like, don't like people who are poor, so he doesn't want anyone to know that Maurice is a tailor. He says he's a baron. Now, there are a couple people in this castle who kind of think that this is not a true story, and they start investigating to figure out if he actually is a real baron or if he's someone else. Now, along the way, Maurice runs into this girl named Jeanette, who lives at the castle, and he falls in love with her, but she doesn't really want anything to do with him. Later on in the movie, though, she ends up succumbing to Maurice's charisma and his magnetic charm, and she ends up falling in love with him, and she says, like, I don't care who you are, I don't care where you are, I will always love you, which is going to come into the plot later. But everyone starts to believe that he's actually this baron, and he's just kind of there hanging out, until one day Janet asks Maurice, hey, I have this new outfit that I'm being tailored for. How does it look? And Maurice starts really critiquing it and picking it apart and telling her why the outfit doesn't look good. He's like, you know what, I'm going to tailor this outfit for you. So he starts creating a new outfit for her. And obviously they're like, well, if he's a baron, how does he know how to like create this outfit? So it eventually comes out that he's a tailor and he's poor. And Janet decides that she is going to leave him, and she doesn't want anything to do with him because he doesn't have money and he's not a baron and he's not rich. And he says, whoa, I thought you said that you would love me anywhere, and like, it doesn't matter who I am or where I'm from, you're going to love me. Eventually he gets his money, Maurice gets his money. The Gilbert's father says, you know what, I just want this guy out of here, take the money, get him out, he's poor, I don't want my house filled with poor people, and he pushes him out. And Janet eventually decides that she's going to be with Maurice anyway, even though he's poor. That's pretty much the entire movie. I feel like this is a plot that's been done in ad nauseum. Maybe this is one of the first ones to do it. I don't think so. I think I've reviewed earlier movies that have the same sort of plot, where there's this guy who they think is rich, and the girl wants to be with him, but then when she finds out he's poor, she doesn't. But then she's with him anyway. It's kind of something that's done so many times. I'm just tired of looking at it pretty much. There are some funny scenes in this movie. I think for me, the funniest sequence, the part that I really enjoyed the most, was Maurice is trying to ride this horse. And it's this horse named Solitude, and they're trying to see if he's really a baron, and they're going on like this fox hunt. And if you're a baron, you know how to do fox hunts, you know how to ride horses, so we're going to test you. And they said, we're going to put you on this horse named Solitude. And he says, perfect, like, the horse is Solitude, that means he is not a crazy horse, right? And they're like, well, do you know why his name is Solitude? Is because when he comes back, there's no one ever with him, because he bucks him off. And so there's this horse that's just going crazy, and he's like jumping, and he's like looking like a mad horse, and he's like, let me guess, that's Solitude. And the guy's like, no, that's actually the good horse, your Solitude's over there. And Solitude's like even worse, he's like even crazier. The only thing that's really unrealistic about this, because I grew up with a friend who had two horses, and I know how like riding horses are and how it all works, is that he just jumps on the horse without, he said he's never ridden a horse before, he jumps on the horse and he's able to like ride off on it, even though it's crazy, which you should never do. You should never touch a horse by yourself, especially if it's crazy, if you've never been on a horse before, because it can be actually incredibly dangerous. But the whole scene is hilarious. It's a really funny scene. Aside from that, though, to me, it's just a plot that's been done so many times. Like I said, even though this is probably one of the earlier times it's done, it's just, I've seen it so many times, and over the years I've seen it done better. I've seen it done more funny, more topical. They've refined this type of plot over the years to where it's just hysterical. I didn't find that in this movie. I didn't find the actors to be all that great. Like I said, the plot was kind of dull. It just wasn't, it was supposed to be a comedy, but it was tough for me to get through. I wasn't enjoying it that much. But you know, it's still it's not a terrible movie. It's just run of the mill. I think it's just your average comedy from the 1930s that I don't think is that great. I think it's probably on this list because of the importance of it as a musical and what it did as a musical, but it's not that great of a movie to me. But I still give it a 7 out of 10. It's not terrible. It's just, I mean, it's average. I would say it's a 7 for me is average. And that's what it is. I didn't think it was great. But anyway, so 7 out of 10. Hope you join me next time when I review a movie called Shanghai Express. Thank you. Have a great day.